get your collective thoughts about how big a win it was to beat St. Helens.
Yeah, it was really pleasing because we knew Saints had a fair few players out of their pack, so we're aware of that and understand that and not getting carried away. But anytime you beat St. Helens is a positive, for any team. It doesn't matter who wears a St. Helens jersey, and they showed that last week. They're a side that has a great system, as I said before, for the game. They understand their role, they know their role, and if we weren't on our game, we certainly would have got beaten. I thought that first half, it was a similar feel to a past game that we had, that we got beat. But what we did was we adjusted at halftime, and that was the most pleasing part. But yeah, it was a great result.
That first half was attritional, if anything, wasn't it? It wasn't of great quality.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I think we'd made errors, and we're going down the track of, as I said, a similar game in the past there, and I thought that the second game, once we started to get a bit of flow about what we were doing, we were 2-1 out, and like you say, it wasn't sort of the most entertaining game in that first period, but we contributed to that a lot because we were playing safe or too safe, or St. Helens have got really good line speed, and you need to move their middles. If you go into the teeth of it, they do force errors. That's what they do. But I thought we adjusted in that second half. We still can use the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, indeed. But you've knocked off the top two in Wigan and St. Helens, or the top two in previous seasons. So gives you encouragement. Are you encouraged by what you're seeing?
Absolutely. There's no doubt when you lose 3 games in a row, there starts to come a bit of pressure in terms of some outside noise, and you need to have that next win. We got that, but then off the back of that, you need to obviously grow as a team and start winning some more games. So we've been able to put 4 games together now and get the right result. It is encouraging because I know, for me, I know what's in this group. Like, I know, where we can go, and we've got a long way to go. There's no doubt about that. But the pleasing part for me is, when we are whole KR, and when we stick to what we know and what we're good at, it's effective. When we do go away from it, then we make it hard for ourselves. So we're in a position now where we're in control a lot of what happens. There's no doubt we're gonna come up and get beat against teams that are too good on the day. It's going to happen. But more times than not, we'll be in control of what happens, because we've got a strong focus. We'll focus on other teams, but our main focus is on what we can control and what we do. If you get that right, I look at teams that got to stop what you do, instead of being worried about what they do.
Yeah, indeed. And it seems that that competition for places has developed an attitude where players challenging each other is pushing them on to be better than perhaps they could be or would normally be.
Yeah, it's a good point, mate. That the environment that we've got can either bring out the best in you, or it can. Some players, it's not for them. We had a situation, we've had last year where players were playing, a large number of games due to injury, and it's been well known that we probably didn't have the quality of depth last year that we had this year. So there's no doubt it has an impact on certain players, but the majority of the squad, mate, like you said, they're relishing it. They're, even the guys that aren't getting in the team, what they're doing to prepare the first team for that week helps so much. We talk about being a squad, and that's the pleasing part. Most of the players are just getting on with things. They understand that they can put their pretty much at training is where they're going to get their next game if there's no reserves that week. Like we played last weekend, and it was good to see some players out there. But I look at what they do at training, and again today highlighted certain guys that probably won't play this weekend, but I've got every confidence in the world if there's form or suspensions or that other word, then they'll slot straight in.
Yeah, indeed. Has it been formulated around the fact that you've hardly this season, perhaps only against Catalans, have been found wanting in the pack? Your packs have gone head to head with the opposition.
Yeah, definitely. There was a few games there, and the Catalans game for me, to be honest, mate, I've said it before, it's probably the most proud of the team collectively in that game, because we were in that game up until, large parts of that second half, and then it sort of got away a bit at the end. But that's when I knew, after it was our third loss in a row, but I knew that we had a team. I knew we had a tough team. We had, a lot of adversity in that game. But going back to your question, there were some games there that we'd won, that our pack wasn't happy as well. So the pleasing part is, since then, we've got some internal sort of KPIs around, our forwards and then other teams that we play against, and we've achieved those. And the old saying is, well, for me, I believe in this, is, forwards win matches, and then you get the backs and the spine, and they determine by how many. I'm a massive believer in that. If your forwards win that battle in the middle, it allows your Mikey Lewis's, it allows your Jordan Abduls and your Lachlan Coots and players like that to play with some space and freedom. And that's what every spine member's trying to do or wants.
Okay, let's turn to your team news this week. Have you picked up any injuries?
No, we seem okay, mate. We got through training today as well. So at this stage, we're not too bad from last weekend.
Well, that's a bonus, isn't it? Because injuries can have a big effect. But that doesn't mean to say that you don't have some conundrums, because you could have Sam Wood back. You will have James Batchelor back. So those are selection headaches for you, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, mate, and they're genuine headaches. You want to be in that position as a coach, but it's never enjoyable to tell a player that's playing well and could be in the team that he's not in the team. But that's where you want to be at. We want to be at the point that we're at now, not at the point that we're at, after we lost 4 players after that first game, and then there was 3 in, game 3 and all that sort of stuff. But what it did, it gave guys opportunity. Those players that got opportunity took it with both hands. And as I said, we've got an environment now, extremely competitive. Players need to perform each week because someone's ready to grab that jersey, and it's a good position to be in. But it's not fun as a coach to tell players that they're not in. It's not the enjoyable part.
Well, it's not enjoyable, but it's the one that you would want rather than the other one. Now let's talk about Sam Wood and James Batchelor having dispatched St Helens in pretty handy fashion, and the players that came in to replace them. How difficult would it be for those 2 players to wrestle themselves back into the starting or the 17?
Yeah, it is each week because of whoever's available. But obviously, beating St Helens and certain players, had some strong individual performances. It does make it difficult. We'll work through that and finalise, who's going to be in the team. But whoever doesn't get picked, there's no doubt they'll be playing again at some stage. It's just a matter of when.
You threw me a little bit of a curveball last week. It didn't go unnoticed when I asked you about Corey Hall, and he said he's going to have to wait his turn, etc., and then he makes his debut.
That was genuine, mate. Sam Wood actually did it at training. So
did he?
At that time, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, cometh the hour, cometh the man. I feel because he had a strong performance, didn't he?
Corey had an outstanding game. Yeah, definitely. As I said, with Corey, it was always going to be and playing him at the right time, and it ended up being the right time. And the reason why I say that was it didn't have a great time to think about. I think if Corey had played, and as I said before, mate, it was only later on the week that we made that decision. We had to make that decision, but Corey didn't have time to prepare, and the nerves and then the media that come with it. He just went out and was Corey Hall and just played. He's going to be a special talent going forward. There's no doubt about that. Providing that he works hard, he's a good person. I can see at the moment, rugby is a strong priority, which it should be when you're a professional rugby player. It's important to him. So if he just keeps ticking those boxes and keeps working hard and stays disciplined, yeah, it's an exciting future for Corey, and it's exciting for us to have him here.
Has he got every chance of retaining his place against Castleford?
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's a decision that myself and the coaching staff have got to make. So, we've got a tough decision to make. But when you're performing like that, you certainly put yourself in the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. What was particularly pleasing was his physicality, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I agree, mate. That's what we actually spoke about. That was because with someone like Corey, the flashy stuff and what he's an athletic kid. So what that'll all come. So once the sun comes out, once it gets warmer and it's a dry track, that's where the areas that you can't coach, he'll just take over. He'll just play. It's like Mikey Lewis. They just do what they know. But when you're playing in conditions like we've been playing in, you need to be physical. You need to play, carry with intent. You need to have aggressive line speed and that type of thing. And he did that. Like if you have a look at his kick chase in that second half, he's the type of person that we spoke about. We need to be better with our kick chase at half time, and he led that in the second half. And it was a major factor of why we won field position, and we started to get that game back in our favour in the second half was because of his kick chase.
Did he surprise you?
No, he didn't. He surprised me, like you said before, I suppose, with how aggressive, the intent that he played with, because I've probably seen him go to the other area first, being a flashy type centre, which that's what he is. And you never take that out and coach that out of him. But when you've got someone like that and they're playing with intent and playing aggressive, then you've got a real player in your hands. So the way he handled Connor and Hurrell, did it surprise me? No, because I know the type of player he is, but he's got to go out and do it. So it was just pleasing to see that what you think he can be, he did it, in his first appearance for the club.
And you've got a tough decision, haven't you, with James Batchelor, because Frankie Holton didn't do anything wrong, did he?
No, not at all. And that's the pleasing part. We've got players that are going in and they're not, and that's the hard part. That's the decision that myself and the coaches have got to make, around that this weekend. So as I said, the players that don't get picked, it's unfortunate this weekend, but they'll be playing at some stage.
Can I talk to you about Dean Hadley? He signed a new 2-year contract. What persuaded you that he had another 2 years and you wanted him for another 2 years?
Yeah, so Dean was an interesting one. He was actually my first phone call when I got the job. So Dean was a player that I looked at. For me, did all the, his name didn't get mentioned a great deal. And then I started watching him play and I thought to myself, that's the type of player that I like as a coach. And why is that? For us, the whole KRA is all around competing and effort. And that's what Dean is all about. That's his game. So for me, you need to have, your James Batchelors and your Dean Hadleys and players like that. They're the players that other players want to play with. So for me, it was an easy decision. So Dean's had a troubled couple of years with injury. So it was a matter of getting his body right. So we looked at a 1-year deal with him just to make sure that, that he could go again and his body was okay. He had a pretty good preseason without being great because of the time, because he had that shoulder. And so therefore he's going to be even better next year that he has a full preseason. And for me, a player like Dean, he's a great player to have it for a person having the squad. He's well respected. And I just see that he can play 13, he can play back row, and he can play middle. So I definitely see 2 more years in him.
For me, he seems the sort of player that you don't realise what he does unless you look at the nuances. So, you need a core of players like that who just turn up and go week in, week out.
Absolutely. As I mentioned before, so someone like a James Batchelor and Dean Hadley, those type of players don't get recognition from a great deal of sort of media when you're writing about the game, all those areas, those little areas in the game. But when you come and do a review, and then obviously coaches and players are looking at it, they're the ones that get picked up most times. So for us, in our preseason, Dean and Batch were 2 players that were standouts in all the numbers that you look at in preseason. How fast you go, what distance you're covering. But as I said, it's all about inside of that, of how hard you're working. You might run these days, with GPS systems and all that sort of stuff, you can run 10K or whatever it is, but it's what you do inside of that. And those guys are just working hard and consistently hard, non-stop. So, mate, you're right. They are, the foundations. That's who we want in our team. And for me, then you build your players around that, because you need to have in every team, I believe, you need to have your Dean Hadleys and your James Batchelors.
Okay, let's talk about the game. And 4 on the spin. Castleford have not had the greatest of starts. They lost their head coach in Lee Radford. Andy Last has taken over as interim coach, and we don't know as yet as to whether he'll be installed as the permanent boss. Does that make it a good time, do you believe, for you to go there and play them?
Well, playing Cass in Cass, from my experience, 20 odd years ago, a long time ago now, it's always a difficult place to play. And there's no doubt that Cass play better at home. They know how to play that pitch. Obviously, it's a smaller pitch. And you need to change your style. You need to have a style to suit that pitch. If you try and play one way on that pitch, it doesn't work for you. So they know what suits them, and they've always been a difficult team to play at Castleford. That won't change this week. It's a game where, for us, again, we'll look at ourselves. It will highlight where we are and taking that next step, because in the past, there's been excuses around, it's a small pitch, it's a small sheds, or there's a hostile crowd there. But that's not the case anymore. It's about going over to Cass. That's our next team that we're playing against, but we play whole KR style. And as I said, there might be some little adjustments to what it looks like, the overall picture, but it's not going to change our approach to how we want to play our game. If
ever I look at a pitch where I think to myself, not giving penalties away, discipline, when you haven't got the ball is important, and equally kicking is important when you have got the ball, because it being a small pitch and considerably smaller than any other ground that you'll play on, means that you can go from the 20, your 20, to their 20, or vice versa, very quickly. You don't have to work the ground.
You're spot on, mate. Absolutely. Last plays are important. Last plays are extremely important, but like you say, discipline's important. What you do inside their red zone's important, because if you do lose a ruck or you do give away a penalty, you're going to be on the back foot, and then more than likely you're getting a kick in good ball, or their good ball. So, like you said, mate, it's you want to win the ruck every week, but it's definitely more important this week, because if you do lose one and you lose two, you're under the pump in terms of that they'll be starting to throw a little bit more at you because they're in better field position, and then you're gonna get a good ball kick coming at you. So, the points you make are spot on.
So in terms of that, it's no different for you taking advantage, and you've got to try and take the advantage of the dimensions, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, we'll have little adjustment changes of how how we want to play from a technical and tactical point of view, but it's to suit that what you're talking about. But any time that we're putting ourselves in a good field position, we're going all right at the moment in terms of our attack and especially on last plays. So it's important that we put ourselves in those strong positions this week and then finish our sets accordingly on a high note.
Can I just talk to you about one of their players who has been doing it for year after year after year, and is getting to the elder statesman stage of his career, but nonetheless very dangerous, in Paul McShane?
100%, absolutely, I agree, mate. He's there was a certain player that we played against, the last sort of few weeks, and we had to be onto him, and I said Paul's exactly the same in terms of what they do and their threats. Him out of 9 is he knows how to get around the field. He's very, very smart, and a lot of stuff comes off him. And he's still quick enough. If there's a quick play the ball, he's still quick enough to cause you some problems like further out. And there's no doubt he comes to life when he gets around that 20-meter line. So he's a good player. Yeah. I respect him and know that he's going to be important to them again.
And can I just highlight one player that is playing for you, who I don't know whether you would agree that he's, exceeded expectations, but geez, Sam Luckley's going well, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, he is. He's with props, they get better with age, don't they? And I think with Sam now, he knows his role within the team. Actually, we had a bit of a giggle this morning. The way he sort of came back after the World Cup, and he's got the singlet on now. He's actually looking extremely fit, and there's no coincidence, why he's rugby and why he's playing so well. He's in good condition. He's settled in well. He settled in well in terms of with the players, but in terms of living in Hull, and he seems happy. So that's the most important thing for any player, that they're happy. Naturally, you go through, like any job, you're going to go through some adversity and hard times and everything that goes with being a professional rugby player. But he's in a good space, and the exciting part for me is I think Sam's going to be even better. Like, he's another one that didn't have the best preseason because of coming back from the World Cup, and the other guys that had the jump on him. So he didn't make that first game against Wigan, but he's worked hard, and ever since the Salford game, he's worked hard to get back in that team, and he's certainly not letting anyone down.
Need to get his decision making right, when to offload and when not to offload, I suspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Like any, I don't want to ever say to a middle order player, don't offload, but naturally you got your cues and you got your reasons, and most of the time what you see there, and if he's got an answer around why he did it and different things like that, I'm comfortable with it. But then there's times there that a couple of weeks ago, that he offloaded too much. But what he did well, and the adjustment on the weekend, was just going back to doing what Sam does best, and that's just running hard. Because when he runs hard, good things happen off the back, whether it's a quick play the ball or whether it's an offload. But you certainly don't, you don't want to go to tell players go out and try and offload because they forget about that running hard part. But then you certainly don't want to say not to offload when you've got a guy like Sam that can offload. So he went back to running hard, mate, and he played well.
On one final question, what about the form of Reece Kennedy? How do you view that?
Yeah, Reece will be the first to admit it's been mixed. Like, I know what Reece is capable of. He's played some some strong games, and the Wakefield game comes to mind of playing long minutes, and he's been mixed. But what I do know is he's competing hard. That's what I ask of every player. He's still competing. His effort's there. There's a little bit of sort of discipline stuff that he needs to work on. He knows that. We've had conversations. The best part is that he said that to me without a coach having to tell him. And I know when, again, Reece is a similar one to any prop, but when he gets his game and just simplifies it, he runs hard, gets off the line and wants to have some intent with his hit and stick, the other stuff will come off the back of it. So, Reece he's been important to us, and he still will be going forward. But there's no doubt, he needs to fix and work on a couple of areas of his game.
Well, I think that's as far as I want to go. I think we've written the book, haven't we?
Cheers, Gwilym.
Thank you.
Mate. Cheers, mate.
Hey, Willie, you all right?
Hey, Joe. Well, mate, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, sir. I just wanted to ask about Louis Johnson. Was there a clause that he can play against the club, or do you have to make a decision on that? What's the situation as it stands?
Yeah, so at the moment, mate, because he was going on a season loan, we can call him back at any time, but we're not going to stop him from from playing. The whole purpose was so he can go play first team, and he's getting picked and playing first team. So wouldn't want to do that, mate. At this stage, we want to say at this stage we didn't do that. But saying that we can always call Louis back at any time, and that's always been the agreement. But it's good to see him playing.
So is he eligible to play for Cass on Friday?
Yeah, as far as I know, he is. Yeah.
Will that be a weird situation for you? Or I know obviously you want to get the result, but you'll be looking at him as much as your team as well, I suppose.
Not really, mate. I'll be looking at us. I'll look at him after the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've been keeping an eye on how he's going and how he's playing. I've watched his game last week and that type of thing. But no, if Louis wearing a Cash shirt this week, it's he's wearing a Cash shirt this week, and we'll just worry about what we do.
And Yusuf Aiden as well, he's been going well at Featherstone. I've seen a lot of their fans praising him. It's good to see, especially young forwards getting out and getting minutes. I know it's what a big fan of you are of him.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. He's a good person. He's he's a hard worker, and it's good to see him back playing again. He's had some bad luck with some injuries there. But yeah, we got some really positive response or feedback from their CEO and just how he handled himself. And it's no surprise though, because I know how good a person he is, and it's good to see him play.
And obviously, this is the last game before the international break. Do you get sucked into believing some teams need a break, some teams don't? And at the moment, obviously, you're riding a wave and in form. Are you sad to see it ending at the end of this week, or the lad's going to go away, come back, and then the season starts again, so to say?
Yeah, look, I think because you know, or we've known that there is a 10-game block there, and then you've got your break. You plan your program accordingly. So for us, it's been a challenging one. It's been for every team, to play week in, week out. I think we've only got a couple of players there now that's played every week. So the ones that have played every week, they'll need a spell. But there's some others there that probably they want to keep playing. But yeah, as I say, mate, it'll be good for us. Our focus is Friday. We all we've spoken about is what we're doing this week. We had a quality session today, but there's no doubt if we put everything into the game on Friday, then the boys have earned a well sort of earned breath and reset.
Perfect. Cheers, mate. See you Friday.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Willie.
Thanks, Gwilym.
Hey, Willie, am I all right to ask a couple of questions as
Yeah,
well?
of course, yeah. No problem, mate.
You just said about the 10-game block sort of aspect of it, and obviously we're at a third of the season now. But on this 10 games, when you looked at the start of the season, where had you envisioned the team? Was it sort of, like how many wins, sort of, or was it more performances that you were wanting to have in the bank at that point?
Yeah, there's no doubt you always want the result. So you always want to be, every team and club talk about that top 4 or top 6 or whatever it may be. So, but what we did, we sort of broke it down, had our own internal sort of KPIs, and then if you achieve those, then you're going to put yourself in a positive position. So, no doubt the performances have pleased me the most, and I'll go back to the Catalans game. That was the score line that we got beat. It was 26-12. But when you break that game up, for me, the performance was really positive, like what we did and the way we fought and adversity. So I was really pleased with that and knew that we had a team. So across, every game, and then probably the league game was the one that was, even though it was 25-20, we got beat. That was the game that I was most and I wasn't happy about, and we didn't deserve to win it, even if we did win. So, but to break it up and look at most games, we've had some strong performances. And as I say, when you break it down and you achieve your KPIs of what you're looking to achieve, then more often than not, then you'll sit in a decent position. So, we've got another game to go. We've got one more game that we need to go all out in, and then the players will get a reset and the coach and staff will get a reset, and we'll all get a reset after that. But our main focus is to go out on Friday and play and put in a performance like we have been, because we're not on our break now, that's for sure.
And on the game on Friday as well, so obviously sitting pretty in the league, but typically, a team generally in third heading to a team that are 10th, you'd obviously go in expecting a win, and obviously no games are a given. But do you think that the team and the players have now sort of got that air of confidence about them, especially having beaten both Wigan and Saints, that they can go anywhere on any day and just they'll fancy themselves as favourites regardless of who the opposition is?
Yeah, look, we always look at ourselves. So we believe if we get ourselves right and we achieve what we set out to do, then we'll be in a good position to win the game. So, playing against Cass on a Friday night over there, as I said before, it's never an easy task at all. they've been improving. They played Salford last week away, and they could have easily won that game. There's no doubt they're getting better under Andy last, and it's a game that we need to go out. We need to perform at a high level. We need to keep improving on what we're doing, because if we don't, we're going to be on the wrong end of the scoreline. It doesn't matter who you play. So, for us, mate, it's you certainly can't take any game like that's. It's a Super League. It's the same with the NRL. It's the same with the Super League. Like in professional sport, in those two competitions, if you take any team lightly, you're in some trouble.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Sam.